Hi, welcome everyone to the Let's Talk webinar. We are Amber and Jared Smithson. We have been coaching for over 16 years now and so excited to be bringing you this amazing topic tonight on metabolic mastery.
Yep, we have an hour tonight, special. So I know we're used to 30 minutes, but we're doing a special edition tonight. So thanks for being with us. It's going to be packed full of info.
We'll try our best for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
No promises. So we are so excited tonight. Here's the thing is when we first started with Optavia over 16 years ago, there was more of a focus on weight. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
And that's just kind of how it was like in our country. I think a lot of people were focused on what the number on the scale said, what their waistline was looking like. And I love that now, more so than ever, people are focusing on their overall health, especially their metabolic health.
Yeah, there's been a lot of science that has happened in the 16 years that we both internally within Optavia and also externally. So many medical professionals and people in the health and wellness world are turning to metabolic health because it's not just about what your weight is. And we're going to talk about some of those factors throughout our presentation tonight.
So let's talk about the trilogy of optimal health. It's when you only focus on one area, like we said, if you're only focusing on weight, you're going to be missing a lot of other areas that make a big difference in your overall health and well-being. So there's the healthy body, of course. What's your physical activity? How are you eating? Your sleep, your environment. But then also the healthy mind is a huge factor. Are you feeling fulfilled? Are you able to have community involvement or spiritual time or strong relationships? And then there's the healthy finances piece as well.
Yeah, it's important to, if we can't afford good food, right? The really, really cheap food out there, it's not the healthiest for us. Those finances also contribute to those other factors, right? Because are we able to save for the future? Do we have the resources to go and have the experiences and create those memories? I love this quote from the World Health Organization. Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity, right? So we're going to talk about some things some of the underpinnings of health, but because we don't have acute disease or infirmity like right now, doesn't mean that something's not brewing.
Yeah, a lot of people think of it as a binary, right? You're healthy or you're not. But I love that there's this spectrum that you see at the bottom of the slides here, from sick to very unhealthy. And then healthy is like actually kind of in the middle. And then you see optimal health and ultra health to the far right. And so it really gives you, it helps you dial into where your current reality is in your current health situation.
Well, and the reason that we highlighted these three boxes on the left, sick, very unhealthy, and unhealthy, is because, a lot of people will make comments to us like, oh, I just want to be normal. Well, the norm in our country...
We'll talk more about the norm in our country.
We're going to show you that the norm in our country is on the left end of this spectrum.
Definitely. Well, let's bring on our special guest for tonight. Jared, do you want to introduce Dr. Michael Smith?
Yeah, so this is going to take the rest of the webinar to give you Michael's bio. But we've known Dr. Michael for 11 years now.
Probably 10, 11 years.
That he's been coaching. He is a board-certified general internist and the former chief medical director of WebMD. So his job there was, I'm pigeonholing, right? But one of his main jobs was to make sure that ensure the accuracy of the information that was provided there, right? So that's a big job. He also holds an MBA. Dr. Smith has appeared on The Early Show and in multiple publications, including Men's Health, Newsweek, Forbes, Reader's Digest. He's served as a member of the Nutrition Wellness Educator Certification Panel and has been a certified Optavia coach for the last 11 years also.
So welcome on, Dr. Michael. And also we love his partner, Dennis,
Yep,
too.
absolutely.
All
Great
right.
to be here with you guys.
Thanks so much for being part of this discussion. Yeah, any thoughts so far just about the general health of our country before we dive into it?
I mean, you guys nailed it. And there's so much going on in the world of metabolics right now. And, there's a little bit of science I'll share throughout just because I think it's really important to understand underlying what is going on in our bodies when we start to become a little metabolically dysfunctional. And the really important point is way before you're ever going to know from any blood test. So we'll get more into that in a little bit.
100%. And here's just like some staggering statistics. How like on the back of a label, it'll say 2000 based on a 2000 calorie diet. Like, have you ever read the back of the label?
That's
Well,
what's called the RDA, the recommended daily allowance, right?
don't look now, but the average caloric intake per day in our country is over 3,500 calories.
That's for America and the UK.
Yeah. And then sitting, Dr. A says the sitting disease. Sitting ranges from 9 to 15 hours per day on average.
And the average American is sitting consecutively for approximately 6 hours.
Yeah. And then the skeletal muscle piece. So physical activity, most people are doing less than 20 minutes per day of physical activity and sleeping less than 6 hours per night. And, I think as Americans, they sometimes like wear a badge, a badge of honor. It's like, I only sleep for 4 hours. And it's like, what you're not understanding. Sleep is a good thing. We want to be able to have our bodies reset and rest.
Yeah. And in Dr. A's Habits of Health, he talks about what our ancestors were like, right? And he said that on average, our ancestors, this thousands of years ago, they were moving for 3,000 minutes a week. That's 75% of their time they were moving, like hunting and gathering, right? Now, an extremely active person moves approximately 300 minutes per week. That's only 7%, right? So we can see that just with technology and the evolution of the world that we live in, it's leading us to be more sedentary.
Yeah. So, Dr. Michael, jump in. Tell us about metabolic dysfunction.
So, metabolic dysfunction, I'll get into the science part a little bit. You've probably heard about little mitochondria, the little small energy producing organs or organelles in our cells. What happens when our bodies become metabolically dysfunctional is those little mitochondria can no longer produce energy. Why this is so important is taking a medication that improves blood sugar or cholesterol doesn't reverse the underlying issue. We're going to talk about what does reverse the underlying issue and how, this stat here is just staggering that more than 90% of Americans have metabolic dysfunction. Uh, and as I said earlier, your blood test that your doctor does, they will not pick up the early signs of high blood sugar, the early signs of bad cholesterol. This is why it's so important to really learn the habits of health that are going to reverse this dysfunction, because the bad news is almost everybody has it. The good news is it's completely reversible.
Yeah, and it was really just surprising to me, honestly, when I saw that 90% statistic. And when I was even telling people about hopping on this webinar, I was like, 9 out of 10 of us are dealing with this. So if you yourself, well, a lot of people don't know, like to your point, right, Michael, you might not know that things are going south, but you're going to know people who this is affecting their life in a very real way.
And we'll
Real
talk
quick,
about
like I'll just say real quick, if you have if you're tired and you don't know why, you're not sleeping well, You have joint pains, you're not sure why. You just feel a little inflamed. All of these things are signs that you are metabolically dysfunctional, even though, again, your doctor says everything looks healthy. I'm not saying don't believe your doctor, but just saying they might not have all the information.
No, believe Dr. Michael.
Yeah.
No, it's true. So the metabolic dysfunction is kind of like where it starts, and then maybe go over the next step after that.
So as the problem gets worse, and we're talking probably years to develop from metabolic dysfunction to now actually having metabolic syndrome. And this is really more what your doctor would be looking for because you have actual signs of high blood pressure or elevated blood sugar or your bad cholesterol with your good cholesterol being too low, your bad cholesterol being too high. So when you have 3 out of the 5 criteria here, keeping in mind that 70% of the country is overweight or obese, so number 5 alone, 70% of the people, are close to it or already there. When you have 3 out of the 5 of these criteria, then you are considered to have metabolic syndrome. And we're going to get into some of the repercussions of this, but I will mention that while it's top of mind is when we start talking about the elevated risks of disease, that actually happens all the way back with metabolic dysfunction, right? It's happening way before you develop the syndrome. So it's just so important to realize this is a result of years of having metabolic dysfunction.
Yeah, and the 90%, that's when it just is starting, but actually metabolic syndrome 1 in 3 US adults, that's really surprising to me.
Yeah, I mean, 1 out of 3, that earn like if that's your batting average in Major League Baseball, you're a Hall of Famer, right? So that's not the kind of Hall of Fame you want to be in, though.
Right. So take us from there. What are some of the risks that we're going to see disease wise?
So, of course, we've heard of heart disease and stroke and type 2 diabetes, but many causes of cancer are underlying from metabolic dysfunction. In fact, 9 out of the 10 most common causes of of death in this country are linked to metabolic dysfunction. Right? That's how significant this problem is. I'm going to talk about one really quickly is what we're calling on here non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Your doctor would call it fatty liver disease. That is becoming, it actually now is the number one cause of liver failure. It is no small thing, and there's no medication that's going to touch it. There's just really little we can do for it except for what we're about to talk about here, guys. This is why this is so important. Such serious repercussions of this metabolic dysfunction and syndrome.
Yeah, and I'm sure we all know people who are suffering from a lot of these diseases already. And so I think it's more important than ever to educate yourself on metabolic dysfunction, metabolic syndrome, and also what you can do to combat it or even try to reverse it. Like, is that possible? In your medical opinion, can we reverse some of this?
Absolutely. I mean, we can. It's better to reverse it when you have metabolic dysfunction before the years of have accumulated to syndrome. But even once you have the syndrome, if you make these changes that we're going to talk about, really the Optavia lifestyle, you can absolutely reverse dysfunction or syndrome.
Okay, that's good to know. And we put together a visual because we just threw a lot of information at you all. But if you look at this tree down here at the bottom, I don't know if you can see all the wrappers and fast food and the junk food, but that's the habits of disease. That's the things that it's not just our eating, but like we were talking about, not sleeping well, just chronic stress and cortisol going through your body and not moving. So those are all the habits of disease that make up the metabolic dysfunction portion, a little higher up the tree. And that's where you're seeing the elevated blood sugar, high blood pressure, triglycerides, the abdominal fat, and the cholesterol issues. And then going up to the top, it grows into the metabolic syndrome where you're going to start seeing a lot of these diseases showing up. So we were hoping a little visual would help everybody remember these different phases.
Yeah, so now we're going to shift into what we have control over. Okay, and we're going to talk about each one of these But the four we're going to talk about is the thermic effect of food. A calorie is not just a calorie. Regardless of what all of the influencers out there and stuff say, like 1,000 calories of Twinkies is not the same as 1,000 calories of fresh produce and lean proteins. How you move your body. This is just we. I I have a personal belief that all human beings are athletes. And I don't mean like you specialize in a sport or something like that. But if you were taken back 1,000 years and put out into the world, you would hunt and gather and you would lift heavy things and you'd walk a long way and chase animals and chase your kids and stuff like this. You would be an athlete. You would move like someone who was capable of all those things because we are. And our with that activity is some of that activity specializing and focusing on the creation of skeletal muscle and the preservation of skeletal muscle, because there's so much science in the last 5 to 10 years that shows that it's like our largest endocrine system, right? And it's the organ of longevity. And then sleep, we're not going to get into deep detail tonight, but there's some things that happen in sleep that don't happen anywhere else. And sleeping 4 or 5 or 6 hours a night should be a badge of honor that we rip off, we tear up, and we adopt a new healthy sleep cycle.
100%. So let's talk about thermic effect of food. So basically, it's the energy required to digest, absorb, and metabolize the nutrients that you're taking in. So let's talk about how many calories you burn basically from just your digestive system, just processing the foods.
Yeah, so we have this right here on the screen. Carbs, we put 7 calories out of 100. Really refined flours, refined sugars, your ultra processed stuff. I actually read on a nutritional government website that they estimate that less than 10% of carbohydrates consumed in our country are complex carbs. So high fibrous fruits and vegetables, right? We're eating 90+% of our carbs are those refined ultra processed things, right?
So if you ate 100 calories of carbohydrates, 7 calories is what your body would use to approximately digest, absorb, and metabolize. Fat, however, is only 2 out of 100. Not too good. Better than nothing, I suppose. But then protein, look at this one. Protein, 25 calories it takes for your body to process, metabolize protein.
A quarter of the energy you're consuming is being used just to digest, absorb, and metabolize that protein.
Yeah, I mean, that's significant if you think about it. Let's give you an example. So again, let's take the 2,000 calories, on the back of the label.
and I would, before we talk about this, 2,000 calories, probably not your recommended daily allowance. You
100%.
need to figure that out with your medical professional, with your health coach, with someone who you're working with that will help you understand your base metabolic rate, your energy output, your total energy expenditure, so that you're consuming the right amount of calories for your lifestyle.
Definitely. So let's look at the typical macro breakdown of just like an average American. So pretty typically, half of your calories are from carbohydrates if you're just an average person in our country. And 37% come from fat, and then 13% from protein. So if you had that breakdown for a 2,000 calorie diet, your body's going to do all of its stuff processing, and 160 calories to process and absorb. But let's look at it if you have more of a protein forward breakdown.
So this would be like a 40-40-20, which isn't exact, right? This is just showing you what a different percentage of breakdown. That would double your thermic effect of that food, double the amount of energy that your body is using to go through those processes.
Dr. Michael, Why don't you talk a little bit about balancing blood sugar and how that really ties into metabolic health?
Well, this is what's happening in our bodies when most of us eat the typical American diet, right? We eat a food which, as you guys have clearly stated, usually lots of carbs and processed carbs. What happens is our blood sugar goes up, then our insulin levels go up, the hormone that chases it, and then it brings our blood sugar down. And then our insulin crashes, and we crash, and we get tired, and then we eat, and it goes like it's constantly up and down, up and down. That is just constantly doing damage and creating inflammation throughout the day. When you eat in a more balanced, those of us in the Optavia lifestyle, lean and green and complex carbs and lean protein, it just all levels out. And what's happening with metabolic dysfunction is that constant up and down. It's basically wearing out our system that produces insulin. And slowly the insulin doesn't work. And slowly our blood sugar starts to rise. And that's what leads to all of the metabolic dysfunction in those poor little mitochondria that are just withering away.
I feel really bad for those poor mitochondrias now. That's such a good explanation.
They're trying hard.
They're trying hard.
They are trying so hard. So let's talk a little bit. We mentioned the Optavia lifestyle program. There's a lot of different pieces, and even people who are clients, sometimes they don't realize what they have at their fingertips, what they can plug into, because we have our habits of health education. I don't know if you know this. Your Optavia app as a client has the audiobook of the habits of health for free. Like we're just taking all the excuses away. But really having that educational piece is huge. Learning these things that we're talking about. You don't have to be an expert, you don't have to be a medical doctor, but you can hop on community support Zooms. You can hop on and get that support on a win Zoom in the morning. There's so many things that you have at your fingertips. You have a coach, you have a nutrition plan. And I love just how simple and straightforward that our nutrition plans are in a just confusing landscape. I swear, if you go on social media, you will be hearing this, that, and the other about what you should eat or how you should eat or when you should not eat. And I just love how straightforward and simple that Optavia's plans are.
Guys, it seriously is not that complicated, right? How we should fuel our body does not require millions of pages on the internet. Like it literally does boil it down, and Dr. A does a fantastic job. And it's just I want you guys to realize, as Amber's explained, really what you have at your fingertips. You have a complete lifestyle program that completely transforms your health.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about the most recent studies, Dr. Michael.
So this was, I will say, this was such incredible news even to me. I guess I was even a little surprised. One of the underlying things that happens on so many weight loss diets is we lose a lot of muscle. In fact, I think we'll get into it, over the years, through the decades, we just naturally lose a lot of muscle. But a lot of that is lifestyle related, right? It's because we become less active, we're not eating great, we're not supporting our muscles. Well, Optavia actually took the initiative to do a study and look at the effects of the Optavia program. And this was amazing that 98% of muscle is preserved. I will tell you, I've never seen numbers like that. And so the fact that we can rest comfortably knowing that we are fueling our bodies in a way that is going to focus on both burning fat and also preserving our muscle is really huge. And then on top of that, clients who are more successful, they're just more successful with a coach. They lose 10 times more weight and lose 17 times more fat. Right? It's because accountability and support and the right information for you on your journey can just make all of the difference. It is this on one level is so easy and simple. On the other level, it can be one of the hardest journeys that you take. So why do it alone? I mean, I feel like a little bit we're preaching to the choir here because you guys are here. You understand. You understand the power of support and coaching and community and accountability. So congratulations for being here because this is just such a key part of what we do.
One thing I will add to that is, and along with this slide, right, is people be like, well, can't we preserve 100%? Right?
Right.
It's like, Well, you kind of can, but you have to do some work in that process because 17 years ago, I weighed 228 pounds. Now I weigh 185 pounds. So losing that weight, just carrying around 45, 50 fewer pounds every single day, my body doesn't need as much muscle to carry around less weight. So you're naturally, if you go to the gym and stop putting as much weight on those machines or bars, you're going to lose some muscle just naturally. But what Dr. Mike was talking about was after the age of 30, we lose 3 to 8% of muscle mass every decade. And I'm going to talk about a little bit more about this in just a second. But we have basically three types of muscle fibers. There's type 1, type 2A, and type 2X. And I'm just going to talk about 1 and 2. But the type 1 muscles are like our endurance muscles. They're for like zone 2 exercise and like walking a long ways or something like this. The type 2 muscles are more of a fast twitch muscle, and they're really, really critical for independence in our later life, right? Because it's not just about being an athlete or being able to perform in a sport or something like that, or be like a bodybuilder. That's not what it's about. It's about stepping off a curb that you unexpectedly stepped off a curb, and you have to catch yourself. You have to be able to move your foot fast enough to catch yourself.
So you
And
break your hip.
yeah, so because especially women are going to fall into this more than men. Disproportionately, women fall in elderly years far more than men because they're losing muscle mass and bone mass during menopause. So our programs are designed to maintain those things. So talking about skeletal muscle, it's not just about looking like an athlete or a bodybuilder or something like that. It's about increasing your metabolism. It's about increasing your mobility and ability for long-term independence. Because one of the things that elderly people say brings them the most happiness is not having to rely on someone else for caretaking.
Independence.
Independence, right?
Yeah.
And then also disease prevention. And we give an example of this here because back to what Dr. Mike said, there's a lot of people who lose weight and they lose a lot of muscle. And they're like, hey, I reached this magic number on the scale. But if you look at their body composition, they're not in a metabolically healthy composition. So I weigh 185 pounds. I did this at my weight. So I'm approximately 10% body fat. My base metabolic rate, just basic functioning, I burn about 2,000 calories a day. If I was 26% body fat, which is lower than the national average for men, um, I would burn 300 fewer calories a day at the same weight with less muscle.
That's
So
not even taking into account thermic effect of food.
no. So
Just your muscle.
if you go back to that, it was double, right? It was about 160 calories different, and then so you're talking almost 500 calories different between thermic effect of food on a healthy protein forward diet and the typical American diet, and then having lower body fat, higher muscle mass.
And an extra 500 calories a day over a week span, you could be gaining a pound here,
Yep.
gaining a pound there. A lot of people say, I'm eating the same. I don't understand why I'm gaining weight. This is a clue. It has to do with your metabolic health.
Yeah, I mean, most of us become increasingly less active. And to some degree, you know, it's natural to become less active if you're very active younger, but most of us were never very active to begin with. So we become less active and we're losing muscle and we're burning fewer calories and our diet's getting worse because of our environmental factors that are, multiple. That's a whole nother webinar, is that it's just what's happening, that process leading to that underlying metabolic issue is just so critical, but it is not out of our control. I think that's just overlying what we have to keep repeating is all of this is within our control. I'm going to say something real quick about exercise. that you see these people doing these squats or running these sprints. The woman in the previous thing with the hack squat, like, guys, you don't have to do that. Like, just do more today than you did yesterday. You will work up to it slowly. Your workouts do not need to be so vigorous that you just feel exhausted at the end of 30 minutes, right? That is for people going for that really optimal ultra level of health. But for you to just improve your health significantly, you really just need to start focusing on doing more each day.
Absolutely. Progressive overload. Just start. And then over time, it's the compound effect, right? It's a penny a day doubled turns into over $10 million in 31 days, right? So you can just start doing that over time.
In fact, I think a lot of people, they go, okay, they get this idea. I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to get a gym membership and I'm going to do, you know what I mean? Like they go overboard and then they like wear themselves out on day 2 and they quit.
And I just saw in the chat, I'm telling my trainer tomorrow that a doctor told me to stop hack squatting. If you're to the level of hack squatting, stick with it.
Right.
but don't start with hack squats, right? So
yeah, build up.
the reason that we chose a few of these pictures, lifting heavy weights, running, sprinting, jumping, right? These are the things that are going to build those type 2 muscle fibers. They are going to keep more independence and longevity, but
plus the bone density.
yeah, bone
Well.
density. Like in order to create strong bones, you actually have to put a load on them. Just like muscles, you have to put a load on muscles to create more strength. So over time, we can do that.
Absolutely. And, talking about making sure that we are preserving muscle and helping our bone density, it makes a difference. Just like we were talking earlier, 1,000 calories of Twinkies is different than 1,000 calories of vegetables and chicken. The same is true when you are looking to supplement protein. You want to make sure that you are getting a high quality product, that you are having something that's actually going to create muscle protein synthesis in your body, meaning your body can grow its muscles or protect its muscles, recover after exercise. And so this is why I put this picture on the screen is I love that we have specific products in the Optavia line that are vegan, that are low calorie, affordable, and specifically made to help you grow that muscle and without all of the common allergens that you see in a lot of different products. So I just wanted to put that out there, like talk to your coach. And it matters. It matters what kinds of protein sources that you choose.
Yeah, I'm going to go on a soapbox here a little bit. Not too far.
Everyone loves a Jared
I know,
soapbox.
but my soapbox is just like a really small one. A lot of the world is catching on to this protein forward lifestyle. So you see products all over the places. Protein chips, right? Where they just sprinkle some low quality protein powder on these chips. And we were talking about this earlier today as we were prepping and stuff. And what did you have to say about it, Dr. Mike?
I don't even remember, but don't eat them. I know that's not what I said.
No.
But
He's like, you're just adding extra calories with very low quality protein that's not going to really make an impact, rather than eating those lean proteins, getting really high quality proteins throughout your day.
Yeah, I've never researched what kind of protein is in those things just because I know it's not going to be good. But real quick about the essential amino acids that we were showing, the reason you need to consume those is your body can't make them. Those are the amino acids that your body can't make, and they're the building blocks of protein. So I love the amino acids because it helps me make sure I'm getting in the right amount of building blocks of protein without all the extra calories.
Absolutely.
100%. So James Clear in the book Atomic Habits, and he actually came and spoke at one of our conventions in the past. He has this concept where he says, join tribes where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. And we started off talking about what's normal. Do we want to be normal? Well, what's your tribe? Because in Optavia, we are a tribe of people who want to get better. We want to improve our health, our healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances. And so next steps from here, maybe you can make a difference in our country. 9 out of 10 are dealing with metabolic dysfunction. 1 out of 3 metabolic syndrome. So here's some things that you could consider. Maybe just start beginning on your own metabolic health. Because here's the thing, when you start doing something, the people that you hang out with, they're more likely to start focusing on health. They're more likely to go to the gym with you. They're more likely to get some more protein in when they see you doing your protein. Or maybe refer people to your coach. This is affecting a lot of people in our country. And we, as coaches, we're here to help. Or here's a third idea. Maybe you can become part of our mission by helping others by becoming a coach. So, out of those things, I thought maybe we should take a few minutes at the end of the webinar here to talk about that, because it may or may not be for you to be a coach, but I'll tell you what, you probably know people that this could help them a ton.
Yeah, along with this, Stephen Covey, for his entire professional career, he taught this one principle. He said the most comprehensive way to understand something is to teach it, right? And James Clear also in Atomic Habits, he says that there's no such thing as real behavioral change, only identity change, right? So if we just try to focus on our behavior, eventually, and we're not changing our identity, like who we see ourselves as soon as we reach that goal weight or the finish line of the challenge or something like that, the 75 days that we designated for focusing on something, we go back to what was really ingrained us. If we focus on, I'm going to become someone new, I'm going to become a metabolically healthy human, we change our identity, and then our behavior aligns with the identity. Part of that identity is, who are we surrounding ourselves with?
Yeah. Dr. Michael, I would love for you to just take a minute and share why you decided to become a coach.
Yeah, so I never intended to do it actually, until I saw the effects on my partner Dennis that you mentioned. Uh, he had been struggling for years. Quickly, found the program, just like it just all started falling in place. And I have always been a lover of prevention and wellness. I think in my little boy brain, when I thought about becoming a doctor, it was I wanted to help people live and thrive and live their best possible life. And I won't get into my own little soapbox. I won't get into that, but medications don't do any of that, right? So I realized that we had found a way to help people truly be the best version of themselves. I thought it was just physically, but now I know it's mentally, and like it has impacted every aspect of our life. So I just decided this was just too good. I had to pay it forward and help other people. I truly thought I was just going to help a few family and friends, and it just became so much fun. And it really, truly, granted, I have a lot of background in health and wellness, but it's really not about what you know. It's truly about just caring for people and guiding them. Most of us, we started coaching a week into our journey. And real quick, I did not have a weight loss journey, but I had a complete transformation with my autoimmune disease. What was that? That was underlying metabolic dysfunction happening that I just didn't realize was fueling my autoimmune disease. So I'm a great example of why this program can really affect you, even if you don't have a pound to lose.
I love that. And, Optavia, we're just a national network of coaches. We're focused on restoring metabolic health. That's what it comes down to. As coaches, we help clients normalize blood sugar, blood pressure, cholesterol, and the program does this for us. We are not the ones who have to go to medical school or dietitian school or anything like that. Our program helps preserve and build muscle mass, protecting bone density, helps you reduce visceral fat and excess weight, helps you improve energy, have more resilience. So
And
maybe
in the recent study that we were referencing earlier, they looked at over 1,000 markers, and they can claim now that our program reverses metabolic dysfunction.
Yeah, that's amazing. And, so how do coaches help? Honestly, it's about starting conversations. 9 out of 10 are dealing with metabolic dysfunction. Just start a conversation with someone, ask them
Actually,
how they're
it's more about
doing.
continuing conversations.
I
People are
agree.
talking about this all the time. Every single day I hear people are like, oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I got to go caffeinate, or I got to go get the energy drink, right?
Yeah, you're just finding those that are in need and plugging them into a really great medically backed program. There's a lot of benefits of coaching. I mean, you don't have to be a pickleball player to coach, but it helps if you're on our team because that's what we like to do. We do actually end up playing a lot of pickleball with our coaches, but coaches are 500% more likely to reach and maintain their health long term. And it goes back to that James Clear statement, is becoming part of the tribe where what you want to do is the norm. That's where this statistic comes in. I have a really, good idea if that's why
Yeah,
it's
coaches
there.
stay in the tribe. They
Yeah,
stay in the community.
100%. I love that you can coach from anywhere. Dr. Michael, where's your next office going to be slash vacation?
Well, we're going to Mexico in a few weeks, and I actually probably will still. It's true. We can touch many lives from anywhere. And honestly, I've been in there, and I stood like to your point. People just constantly talking about being tired and being sore and being all of this. It comes up all day, every day, and so it's when it just becomes who you are, not just what you do. It just becomes a natural part of helping people.
100%. And it's always smart. Those of us who are investors, I definitely believe this. It's smart to have more than one stream of income. And I think that's just the truth, especially of today's economy and just the landscape of our finances in our country. But there's a lot of support for coaches too. We have medical and nutrition support with our corporate entity. We have business coaching support teams. We have an online certification, very low cost startup. And as people who have started up businesses, brick and mortar. This is very, very low cost startup. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, so there's not only a health epidemic in our country, there's also a financial epidemic. 25%, a quarter of all people, non retirees, have zero retirement,
Nothing.
right? More than 50% of Americans are unable to pay cash for unexpected expenses of $400. 33%, a third, right? We're getting into the metabolic syndrome. So this is the metabolic syndrome of finances in our country. A third of Americans are partially paying rent, mortgage, or utility bills each month.
Yeah,
These
people are
are
struggling.
these are basic needs.
Yeah, 100%. And even just helping 3 clients on our full plan, you could earn $800 as a new coach. Or helping 5 clients, you could earn $1,500 helping 5 clients on our full program. These numbers are actually blowing me away because Optavia corporate has really invested into new coaches and really ramping up their compensation so you can get some wins right out of the gate helping others with their health.
So, I mean, what it comes down to is our country is in need of help.
100%.
If you don't think our country needs help, you're not looking around,
Yeah.
right?
Ostrich, head in
Yeah,
sand.
ostrich
Right?
head in sand, right? Metabolic dysfunction is an epidemic. Optavia provides a hope and a solution. It's not we're not just like it's not fear factor, right? A lot of people try to scare people. We're actually trying to show people a solution. Hope alone is not a strategy. You have to have a solution in order to convert hope into faith, right? Um, Too many people are suffering, and we need more people helping. Going back to what Amber said, whether that is just starting on your own metabolic journey, referring to your coach, co-coaching with your coach,
Or telling somebody
or going
else
all
about
in.
the opportunity of coaching that you think it might be a good fit for them, even.
Yep.
All right, you've been asking for it, you've been waiting for it. Those of you who are in the Brain and Body Reset Challenge, here is your key word. The key word is mastery.
With a capital
That is a
M.
capital M. I was told to make sure everybody understood that. It is case sensitive. Chris is happy. Everybody's happy. So make sure that you get your extra points for attending our webinar tonight. And don't look now. Dr. Michael, tell us what's coming up next Monday on the Let's Talk webinar.
Yes, so I will see you again next week. And once a month, the last Monday of the month, we have health professionals to join you for a live Q&A. So Dr. Delia Garcia, who is a medical oncologist, radiation oncologist, incredible story, and has so much wisdom to offer in the impact of health and cancer. We will be joining you live next week to answer your questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. When you get the replay of this, send it on to people that you know and love. And thank you so much for being on. Dr. Michael, you are amazing. And everybody in the challenge or just our regular clients and coaches, we're glad that you're here and you are learning and you are growing your knowledge so that we can help our country get better. So thanks, guys.